Bored stiff. Have you ever thought about a small town where witchcraft has been present with the sounds of air raid sirens going off in the distance? And let me tell you my thoughts on a little book called The Crow Folk, written by Mark Stay. This book was published back in 2021. It is 364 pages long and divided into 40 chapters. Set during the early days of World War II, The Crow Folk begins in a small town of Woodville, a rural community that's just trying to keep its spirits up during the days of the Nazi blitz operations. We follow Faye, a daughter to a bar owner who's helping him run shop and keep people's spirits up. But as soon as she comes into possession of one of her mother's late books, which is riddled with scribblings of witchcraft and recipes, especially a very nice little homemade recipe that she likes to have. They're dismissive at first, but the town soon becomes a hot spot for unusual activity, in which scarecrows appear, the birds are descending in waves, and people are just starting to go missing. Faye has to try and work things out as to what is going on with her town, while at the same time trying to convince as many people who don't believe in witchcraft, or just a woman doing anything a man can do. So here's what I think will make you sit up from your coffin when it comes to The Crow Folk. Obviously you can see there's a big tower of some here. I had the pleasure of meeting Mark Stay back in 2025 at London Film and TV Comic Con, where he graciously even signed all of my copies that I hadn't owned up until this point. Again, each one is very different than the last, but the only one he didn't manage to sign was my first edition, which I had been reading before I had met him. So, Mark, if you are watching this, I will hopefully find you again someday to sign that first copy. I want an entire collection done. Firstly, The Crow Folk does such a good job of being fictional, but also keeping that historical backdrop to keep the reader grounded in a story that was only 80 years ago. And this book is quintessentially British, which is why I'm kind of biased towards it. And because of the way it is written, Mark's dialogue just comes off very natural to me. It didn't feel like it was very forced in that typical keep a stiff upper lip type Britishness. It never feels forced, and it never goes off the old stereotypes of Britain during World War II. The characters are all fleshed out. They feel like everyday people you'd meet in a rural area in southern England. Some have better traits than others, and some did get on my nerves at times, but overall I think that kind of lends towards how well Faye and her friends are getting the best emotions out of the book, because the side characters are not important, but they are important. But it's more down to Faye and her quest to finding out what's going on with the town. The first mystery of what Faye's mother has done with witchcraft is one of the two conundrums Faye has to wrap her head around. It is intriguing to see a bigger picture being played out due to the course of the story and the introductions to characters and societies inside a small town such as Woodville in southern England. So it made a really good first edition to building something that will eventually be 5 books. World building aside, there is really only one big gripe that made me recline back into my coffin with this book, and it's just that I don't know if it will be just me saying this, but Faye is very dismissive about the fact of witchcraft throughout the story. The whole town is basically. You're dealing with Nazi airships possibly flying over, and you've got to contend with witchcraft. I don't think many people would put witchcraft as their top priority of this, but the story does give a little bit of mystery as to why they are very dismissive towards witchcraft. But Faye is our main character, and it gets really repetitive and annoying at times when she's seeing all this stuff happen. She's the heroine, basically. It doesn't... By the end of the book, it finally comes to fruition, but the fact I had to get through so many people saying witchcraft isn't real, and Faye still having doubts about the whole thing, just... It kind of bugged me. You'll understand why that is. Even the fact that Faye gets right to the heart of the story's biggest mystery and is still sketchy about it, I just don't feel like that would have happened. It kind of gives me, like, Indiana Jones vibes. Like, he's seeing all this stuff happen, but because he's an archaeologist, he's very skeptical about these sort of things. and he's also a professor. So, but Faye is nothing like Indiana Jones. She is just a girl working in her dad's pub, trying to figure out what her mum did in her spare time. But aside from that, the book is a very good introduction. There's lots of lore kindling away to burn bigger and better things, and the interactions with the characters with each other had me hooked from the get-go. I know the series is going to get better as I go along, but for the first introductory bit, it's a solid addition for fantasy, and I think it's very niche to have something fantasy-based while set in World War II. I don't know what it is, it just intrigued me, because you don't really see that. I mean, you do see settings in fantasy, but never in something like in World War II. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because it's just not touched upon, but we'll have to see. Overall, I think The Crowfolk is worth your time. It especially is if you want something very niche within fantasy. This is the book for you. It's a good start up for an entire series of books, and I do recommend it. It might not be as strong as you hoped it could be, but it is something that, if you want the time and energy to put into a series like this, I highly recommend it. It's worth every bit of it. It's a different type of character compared to most fantasies. But have you read this book? Do let me know in the comments below. I will make sure to get back to each and every one of you. Tell me what you thought. And I do hope you're not bored stiff now. Come back again, and we will have another book ready for you on the coffin table.